I mean, I have to wonder if this driver was, doing that on purpose, knowing that authorities would not follow on the road, going the wrong way on the freeway, which they did 2 times, and that was able to shake the ground units the first time. CHP was just about to engage with that one, and then this person nearly had a head-on collision with one of the CHP cruisers right there. So we'll see what their next maneuver is. We haven't seen the crazy speeds. I heard up to 80 miles an hour at one point as we go underneath the 60 freeway, but now onto the shoulder. Obviously, we were just talking about that heavy Thanksgiving traffic, and I was wondering how suspects might handle that if there was going to be a pursuit this evening, and now we see them going on the shoulder.
That's how you do it,
cutting out of the way, and
wow.
Yeah, well, and now we actually just heard that sheriffs are saying, okay, even the air unit needs to
over? Somebody's getting out of the passenger.
Two people got out.
Okay, three passengers.
And a driver.
3 passengers out right there.
And there's CHP right behind.
Yeah, well, and there's CHP behind. So we're going to follow the vehicle there. I'm sure the air unit, who was actually just told to disengage from this completely, is probably going, they're going to alert sheriffs now to those 3 people that just got out of the car. Look at this going right. That area right there between lanes is called the Gore Point as they go in between this. So we're going to see what happens now, because sheriff's deputies were just told, even from the air, to get off of this. But now you see CHP. They may take this over, and sheriffs may relinquish this altogether.
So there's a law enforcement helicopter overhead, of course. You see that night sun blaring down on that vehicle, Pat.
Yeah, that's the sheriff's helicopter.
We just saw 3 passengers get out at 710 and exit 20, which looked to be around 3rd Street. As this is the latest look here live of LA's pursuit of LA County. CHP, though, we understand is involved as well, Pat, with a stolen vehicle.
Well, we can see CHP right behind this vehicle, and it's very interesting when there they are, when Des asked the question, how do you get around this holiday traffic? Well, that's what this person is doing. Just driving very recklessly, cutting across lanes in front of cars, going the wrong way. Even went through a median, so to speak, like off-roading, as Des mentioned. And you said they pulled off this chase earlier and went into surveillance mode. Now, wow, look at how close that was. Desmond, this is pretty incredible. Still on the 710, going south.
He's going to hit
somebody. But who only knows what's going to happen.
Taking a lot of chances here. I'm just curious what's going to happen from the air. Now, CHP is probably going to scramble their helicopter to come get on this one overhead, because we had heard sheriffs say that you need to disengage completely, not just from the ground, but from the air as well. But this is still LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead. Now that CHP is taking over this, maybe maybe their watch commander will allow them to stay for a little while. You see their spotlight on this one. But yeah, this driver going, squeezing right in between vehicles right there, making it really difficult for CHP to get around this. And this is how we see these suspects handle this really, really heavy traffic.
Look at this.
Hasn't collided with any vehicles yet, which is pretty crazy, but at the rate it's going, it might just be a matter of time.
This is pretty lucky that he hasn't scraped paint with anybody, Pat. It goes really in between these vehicles. And, of course, this is all the holiday traffic. We've determined that actually the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is busier than the day before, which what it used to be. And this driver's trying to figure out. Now, it's just we think there's probably just one behind the wheel. 3 passengers got out, but of course, Pat, there could be more people inside.
Well, I hope there are not enough more people that are inside this vehicle right now. Those 3 folks that got out, they said, okay, enough of this, man.
Right, yeah.
You're on your own
you
here.
Never know.
Let's hope that is the case. And I'm saying that because, I mean, right now, this person is just, besides stealing this vehicle, he's just breaking all kind of laws here and just making this even more dangerous. Even though he's driving very slowly because he has to, where does he think he's going to go, Desmond? That's my question. He's not going to be able to really, he's trying to maneuver through this traffic. Look at this. But at the same time, you wonder, you think it's a matter of time before a collision of some kind?
Yeah, Des, do you think this is going to be easier to catch him or harder to catch him?
Look.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, easier in some ways in that they can't get away quickly, but also difficult for CHP because they don't want to be worming through traffic and potentially trading paint with anyone, and then have to deal with that and insurance after the fact. But just swerving all over the place to get around this right now, and kind of almost fishtailing there for a second. Yeah, this is pretty wild. I mean, going squeezing right in between lanes if they have to. Some people getting out of the way because they see almost no space right here. Again, right in between that little Gore Point area. So overall, I think this might actually make it more difficult for CHP because they've got to follow the rules, and this person has decided that they're not going to. And at points here on the 710, as we saw, there's no shoulder for this person to get through, and so then you have them just squeezing through any way they can, practically pushing other vehicles out of the way. And now, 50 miles an hour on the right-hand shoulder where there's a lot of debris, and we saw earlier that this person was, kind of struggling to control this vehicle.
Yeah, this is not the HOV line.
We've also seen circumstances where, he's picking up speed now, but driving slowly, you can always have that one driver that's on that freeway that says, no, I've had enough too. I'm going to try to stop this. Not that they want for other drivers to get involved. They want to leave it to law enforcement, but we've seen that sometimes where people are in a larger vehicle, a big wheeler, and they try to stop this guy from getting around, and that could be a possibility.
Yeah, this is not the HOV lane. It is the shoulder on the left-hand side of the 710 northbound. This is going to be at Atlantic Boulevard. This is in the center of your screen there with the hazards on is going to be the suspect vehicle behind the wheel, wanted for a stolen vehicle. 3 people bailed out earlier, and Pat, we do not know the status of those 3 people. Of course, when we get that information, we'll give it to you here at CBS 2. But this is live, and he's really dealing with the traffic pretty well, Pat, going pretty fast.
Yeah, he is. But hopefully those 3 people, if they catch up with them, they can give them some information. And just wondering, too, Des, when it slows down a bit, I mean, even if they pull off, they can alert other agencies, law enforcement agencies, as to where this vehicle is, possibly where he's going to try to exit. And who knows? I mean, as you say, it's dangerous right now, but there could be some, I always think there could be some possibilities if he's slowing down. But with other vehicles on the road so close, that presents another problem in terms of doing some kind of pit maneuver or even throwing a spike strip.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the driver's going to be driving on the right-hand shoulder, they're going to be reluctant to think about using a spike strip because that's where, CHP would post up to do something like that. And definitely going to be difficult for the person that was right behind. We'll just widen out and see if there is still a unit back there. Not immediately back there, but lots of communication going on and other units that are posted in different areas up ahead just off of the 710 that can probably come and join in on this one at any time. If they want to. Again, an allegedly stolen vehicle. It'll be a while before we know what happened with those 3 people that got out of the car. They may have just had no idea what was going on with this vehicle, that it was stolen. And, after driving the wrong way on the roadway the way this person was, I can just imagine them saying, let me out of here. Just get me out. And they just, he pulled over for 5 seconds, let 3 people out, and they ran off that freeway on-ramp. And, there will definitely be some stern questioning with them, see if they were involved with this theft at all. But now the suspect's starting to get through some of the worst of the traffic. It usually lasts down through about Atlantic Bandini before it loosens up a little bit. It'll kind of bunch up again as you get between the 105 and the 91. And we'll just see how far the suspect is going to take it south and what CHP is going to do about it.
All right, we're going to take another look here. If you look to your right, this is where this vehicle made a wrong turn on the freeway, went back the opposite direction, and now he's going through this, what do you call that? Legally. I mean, you know what that's called. I don't, but anyway, he was on some road. He was on some dirt. He went right from the freeway like he was off-roading on the dirt and got back on the freeway. At one point, the sheriff's department pulled off of this. Yeah, now, this is where the guys are getting out of the car. There are 3, 1, 2, and there's the 3rd person. And then this driver continues on this 710 southbound. It's interesting, too, Des, you mentioned that this started on the westbound 10. Did this person ever stay on surface streets for a while or not? Or has this been primarily on freeways?
I believe it may have started just off of the freeway, and then the suspect got on the westbound 10 around Rosemead, I believe, and then it sounded like they might have done like a U-turn on the freeway or got to the end of the on-ramp and then immediately turned around to go the wrong direction. And that was when we heard sheriffs say, you've got to cancel on the ground, surveillance mode from the air, and just be overhead with the helicopter and the spotlight. And then just when it seemed like more ground units were about to engage with CHP earlier, that's when we saw them, go the wrong way again. And that's why it just makes me wonder if
There's
it wasn't
an exit.
just out of desperation and panic, but purposely trying to do that, knowing that the authorities would not pursue them that way. So we are getting off the freeway here, and we'll see as we get off here at Firestone. Very busy, and how are they going to handle this going right in between there? Just imagine being that poor Amazon driver who's right there, just going, "What is this guy doing?"
Just threading the needle. It's interesting when they dropped off those 3 passengers. That was in between a couple of highways, so you wonder where they can go and where they could hide. It didn't look like there was any sort of off-ramp or something like that they had to walk down. I wonder where they would go as we continue to watch this driver go right through a red light, endangering so many people doing so, thankfully not at a really high rate of speed.
On the opposite side, there's a lot more traffic. And the reason I mentioned the freeway, because he seemed to be committed to the freeway for a while. Now we see that he has exited and he is on a surface street. Mason and Firestone Boulevard now making a right turn.
Well, now we're getting into a neighborhood here. So, Des, you look like you're a little ways away, huh?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So here we go. Sheriff's deputies from the air had actually lost this vehicle. They had the wrong vehicle lit up, and it sounds like they're going to reacquire them with the spotlight. Wrong way again now. It's just all kinds of crazy chances here. Well, one of the busiest traffic days of the year, and getting back onto Firestone. So a weird little maneuver there. Went down that industrial street. Seemed like maybe they didn't like it, and then did several U-turns there to right themselves here on Firestone. But just so crazy. Everyone out here looking forward to their Thanksgiving plans and the feast, and here comes this lunatic like this doing U-turns in front of people, wide right turns from the left side of the roadway. Just madness out here in Southgate.
Yeah, talk about desperation, Des. Has to be that. Look at him trying to get through that traffic there. This is, the want was a stolen vehicle, and now they have just racked up so many different charges. And we're just, when we see things like this and the desperation that this driver is showing us at this time, it makes you a little nervous, because certainly don't want to see other people getting hurt, drivers or pedestrians, but this person just seems just bent on trying to get away from law enforcement, and is doing whatever he can. And not in the right way, that's for sure.
Certainly hampered by all the traffic, and we know the reason why, Pat. It's because of the holidays, everybody's taken off, and this guy is trying to find his way around a lot of heavy traffic, not only here at Firestone and Hunt, but also on the 710 earlier was backed up traffic. And Des, let's go back up to you, as this guy is trying to get between cars and threading the needle and pushing people around without actually hitting them quite a bit.
Yeah, and in a fairly large vehicle as well. I believe one of my friends just texted me and told me that this is a Kia Sportage, so kind of a mid-size SUV. And we are hearing now that as we're on surface streets and this person doing what they're doing, CHP has said, all right, we're done with this, at least until they get back on the freeway. So now we've had sheriffs back out on the ground, CHP also back out on the ground. It sounds like sheriffs are still overhead with their helicopter. I'm not even sure how long that's going to last, because they were already told earlier by their watch commander that they need to back out of this. I think that driver is
challenging him a little bit.
Well, I'm sure we could see a little bit of road rage out here, the way this person is behaving.
Yeah, and you know what?
Would be
that minivan, I think, was not willing to let him get in there, but finally did. And we don't know if they know that this is a pursuit or not. Probably not. Just thought it was an aggressive driver. But Pat, it certainly looked like the driver of that SUV was not going to yield, but eventually did.
And expected to see something like that. I thought it would have been on the freeway with some of the bigger vehicles, like the 18-wheeler or something like that.
Sure.
But that driver as well probably said, well, you're trying to get around me. I'm not going to let you do that. And at the same time, they could, they may not know that it's a pursuit, because, as Desmond mentioned, the sheriff's helicopter is pulled off. But Desmond, you are overhead, so they may know.
It's almost so commonplace now to see aggressive driving like this.
And you know what else, guys, is we just did a story. Was that yesterday about road rage on the freeway? And unfortunately, that happened in gunfire. So this person is also taking a risk himself when it comes to driving and posing a risk to other drivers, obviously, but at the same time, we've seen things happen where other drivers get so enraged that they will actually fire on a car. Now he's backing
trying to back up. There's really not a place for him to go here, Des.
No,
Well,
no,
what's that
kind
about?
of trapped, and I don't think he even really. It looks like he really wants to squeeze in between the vehicles here, but just not quite enough room. So I mean, at least we're not seeing this person just plow through other cars the way we've seen some other insane pursuits happen. But unfortunately, there's a very high probability now that this person is going to get away because it's unclear. There you see the spotlight again from sheriff's deputies. So they still have their helicopter overhead, but yeah, and it's probably, gonna, you're right, alert everyone to exactly what's going on here, but there's no one behind this person on the ground. And we know that they were informing Southgate police about this being in their jurisdiction, but it's unclear if they want to get involved in this. They were nowhere near where this first began, and just kind of the reluctance from a lot of agencies to be in pursuits at all. So it's really unclear what's going to happen with this, if anyone's going to take it, if we're going to see this person get out and run into a house, or if they get out and run, even if they get out and run right now, they're going to have a very long lead time before anyone on the ground is able to get into place to, try to pursue them on foot.
Yeah, left-hand turn. It's interesting that he's driving without the hazards on, which he had on earlier, but I'm certain he's doing more aggressive driving now without the hazards on, as this appears to be a Kia Sportage. A driver behind the wheel wanted for stolen vehicle. Pat, 3 other people took off once he got on the 710 near an exit, I believe it was exit 20 rather, on 3rd. And here we are.
And we've been on surface streets now for a while. This person was committed to freeways, it appeared, for quite some time. Now he's been on surface streets for a while. And, we always ask the questions to ourselves. Does this person know the neighborhood? Possibly looking for somewhere to abandon the car or try to get away. We always ask those kinds of questions simply because he seems to be committed now to surface streets. He's been on Independence Avenue and Virginia Avenue in Southgate for a while, been making some turns down streets like he is right here. This is a residential area. Yeah, single family homes.
Yep.
This is where it's especially dangerous. It's dark. He's going a pretty fast clip here. People walking around. Got a lot of people getting ready for the holidays here, bringing whatnot home. And here he is driving a little aggressive on these side streets. Des, he's in a wooded area.
Someone else just got out. That's it. Whoa.
Was that the driver?
Yeah, bailed out and left the car in drive.
Sure did.
And yeah, I think that was the driver. Looks like left the car in drive and out on this dark surface. There
he is.
Out on some dark surface streets, and that vehicle just went right up onto someone's front lawn. You're under the spotlight now. Running into someone's yard,
Hope
potentially
their doors are locked.
over a wall right here. Yeah, absolutely. So Elizabeth and Liberty is the area we're talking about. Up on top of this wall.
On the wall
right now. I wonder if there's a dog down there or something. We'll see if we can gain this up a little bit more.
I think I saw a cat take off across the street.
But I saw a cat take off.
Scared cat, sure.
That's right.
But this is a good place for him to hide.
Last we saw was
obviously with a wall right there. I wonder. I want you to obviously stay on the suspect, Des, but I wonder if the vehicle that looked like it might have hit a light pole, so maybe it's just stuck in drive there in the light pole. Hopefully it didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, it looked like he was driving around. Oh, there's someone in the backyard.
It's a neighbor,
maybe a neighbor.
that was a homeowner.
Well, sometimes you don't want to. You might encounter the homeowner that might surprise you as well. It looked like he was driving around trying to find somewhere. To bail
for sure.
When he stayed on these surface streets. And this is, again, we said a residential neighborhood. Obviously, we don't know. Maybe the 3 guys that got out the vehicle have given officers information. We don't know if this is that person's neighborhood, if he's familiar with it or not. But he went between those 2 houses there, I believe, where Des has the spotlight was on. Is that him?
That's just shadows.
Okay, that's a shadow.
So to the left, the resident that's coming in and out of the home is leaving the door open, Des. I'm a little concerned about that. The resident here.
I know. Yeah. It may not really have, a clear idea what is going on. They just see the spotlight, and they know that the helicopter is hovering pretty low.
Another shadow.
And want to come out with what the commotion is all about.
So he might be hiding in this home with we think it's the home with the extended canopy in the back, right? Right there in the center of your screen. Right, Des?
One of these homes right here, they had said that they saw them in a shed, but then we saw the spotlight drifting all over the place as well. So they do have infrared on their systems, which I'm sure they're trying to get working right now.
You see any units on the ground? Have they caught up yet, Des?
We'll widen out here. No units. Okay, there's one right over here. Might be Southgate PD possibly, or yeah, I believe that's going to be
the car.
Southgate Police.
That's the abandoned vehicle, Des.
There's the car.
Yep.
Yeah. Fortunately, it looks like it stopped right there up on the curb and didn't really go into the yard. They have a little bit of a wall right there in front of their front yard. So that's fortunate at least. But yeah, and it looked like the suspect was wearing all black as well when they got out.
I think they all
were. In this area. So we're going to have Southgate PD setting up a perimeter with sheriff's deputies helicopter trying to help them coordinate and see if they can get eyes back on this person. A lot of places to hide. Very dark out here this evening.
You wonder
if
it's part of a crew because as you mentioned, as the driver was wearing all black, as were the 3 passengers that bailed out. You wonder if this is some sort of crew. It's a stolen vehicle. We certainly have seen that from time to time where they steal a vehicle and then go out and do smash and grabs or whatnot. I'm not saying if that's the case, but it certainly seems that they're organized, Pat, to all wear the same black clothing.
Well, they left their buddy, though. They got out of the vehicle and ran and left this guy to drive. So it does make you wonder about all those things. We just don't know right now. But hopefully they have caught up with them and they're giving police information.
Yeah, the right-hand part of your screen is going to be, if you will, the highlights of this pursuit that started just about 5 o'clock. And the left-hand part of your screen is going to be the live look. It's the driver there taking off, kind of going off-road a little bit to get onto that off-ramp. And then you're going to see him get onto the highway, and you'll see him bail out. This is where those 3 suspects get out of the vehicle, 3 passengers. And that's going to be basically 710 and exit 23rd Street is where that happened.
And those were 3 guys. And now we're here. This guy continued on surface streets, and he ended up here at Elizabeth Avenue and Liberty Boulevard in Southgate, East Los Angeles, and we just showed a picture, or Des did, when he pulled out of when this guy just jumped out of the car. It was still rolling.
Yeah.
He ran to this area here. Police caught up with the vehicle that was abandoned. It just stopped in front of a home. Thank goodness it didn't look like it reached a house or anything like that. And now we see more. That's another law enforcement vehicle. That's not where the car was. I believe that could be right.
You see on
maybe
either
in front
end
of the
block.
house.
So there looks like you see all 4 around that block.
They
so you
set
have,
up a perimeter.
Correct, exactly. So we hope he's still inside that perimeter, but it's dark and he's hopping fences. Who knows where he is?
Well, by now neighbors probably are alerted. Desmond, I would say, with all this commotion, not only with the helicopters, but with law enforcement on the ground now. Lights flashing, but we don't see anybody going in and out of yards searching, do we?
Yeah, Des, what do you see?
No, and now that I see the spotlight kind of drifting all over the place, tells me they may not have a fantastic idea of where this person is anymore. It was just so dark down there in a lot of these yards and so many places to hide. Which is probably, why the suspect came to this area, if they're from here or they just recognized as they went to a random neighborhood that there were not a lot of lights on around here, that there could be a lot of places to hide. And I mean, just such a gamble by that person after all of the risks they took earlier to go hop into someone's backyard. You don't know if, they have an aggressive guard dog back there or if someone, a homeowner is armed or what, But now we're also hearing as well that Pat and Jeff, the other 3 people that were in that car, have not been located by law enforcement. We saw that CHP officer that was so close to them, but they took off after the driver, as did the sheriff's helicopter. There was no law enforcement there on the ground. I believe that was the southbound 710, just past the 60 freeway, I believe, is where where those suspects bailed out. And so now we have 4 people on the loose.
Yeah, that's too bad. We were hoping that they were going to be able to give officers some information here. And notice one of the law enforcement vehicles went right up into that alleyway. There's someone there.
Well, this has got to be quite the spectacle for this neighborhood. You understand people coming out and trying to figure out what's going on. We saw that gentleman coming in and out of his back door, leaving the door open, but since closed it. You hope that that's the case. As we take a look here live, trying to find this one suspect of this pursuit of a stolen vehicle. That there in the center part of your screen is where he ditched the vehicle, had a slow roll onto the curb and then into this front yard. And then he took off the other direction, and we haven't seen him since.
No, and that's officers are on the lookout for this person. The good thing is that this is over, and no one was injured, no one was hurt. It was touch and go there for a moment because this guy was just driving just so recklessly in and out of traffic on the wrong way on the freeway. So didn't quite know how this was going to end, but luckily no one was hurt, as we can see. But you do have a suspect, actually 4 of them, I guess, that are still on the loose, and one in particular, that driver has gone into this residential neighborhood and is holed up somewhere. Hopefully law enforcement will find this person, and as we mentioned, the neighborhood has got to be a little jarred with what's going on, so hopefully people are keeping their windows shut and their doors closed, because we just don't know anything else about this suspect.
We do see a lot of law enforcement traffic coming into the area. Des, let's just get your take on this as to what their next move is. They do have set up a perimeter here. Obviously, it's still somewhat porous that a suspect could get through, but is there a plan to go door to door, you think, or what's their move here?
Well, the best thing to do is to use their infrared from the helicopter, and they think that they may have that person located. And if memory serves, they're only able to use either the spotlight or the infrared. It's called FLIR, is the name of the system, and so that's probably they're kind of going back and forth between the two. Here, the spotlight is on again in this area, but they think that they may have a good idea now through the infrared where that suspect is at. So they're going to try to isolate that person. I don't know that they would go door to door, searching something like that. Generally, once they think they have a really, really good idea, then they'll surround that one house, get into some people's backyards if they have to, call out to the suspect, and then, it may end up turning into a canine situation or something like that. I'm sure that, either the Southgate PD or sheriff's deputies are summoning a canine unit to the scene to join in this perimeter situation.
Okay, well, Desmond, we got your call there that the infrared at this time is certainly more efficient. So we're going to go on and move on to some weather, Desmond, but I'm sure we'll be getting back to you to find out, if this is going to be resolved or not. But at least it seems like they know where this suspect is. So thanks for that, Des.
We'll keep you updated. Let's go to Marquina Brown with a look at the forecast. Very important forecast as we head into the holiday here. Marquina?
Yeah, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving, and things are changing around here. What we'll notice over the next couple of days,
hey, Jack, right when we took off, I heard that there was a plane that may be having a landing gear issue at Van Nuys. I will, and let me just end with this shot here. We didn't get this before, which is the car hitting the fence, and we'll leave after this. All right, we're good, Mike. Could we actually head up to Van Nuys Airport? Yeah, we have an emergency landing. It's a plane with a... it's like 15 minutes to get back.
What's the protocol here? Just use all the fuel up and then try the nose landing? So, yeah, so we're in the Southgate area, and I believe that Southgate Police Department that's formed that perimeter. So if you look behind that property, or the front of that property is on Virginia Avenue. It's between Elizabeth Avenue and Virginia, just off of Liberty Boulevard. So in that general vicinity is where he was last spotted. But we have to be honest and say that in the last 10 minutes, there's lots of opportunity for him to move around without any coordinated search going on just yet. So it'll be tricky if they only have a handful of officers at their disposal for the time being. I'm sure there are more on the way out here, but it's taking a little bit, as it often does, and that is providing lots of opportunity for the suspect to either look for a hiding spot or potentially even get out of this area altogether. So we'll be up here. We'll try and follow this and hopefully have an update for you. But right now it's a wait and see as they try and get more on the way out here. But it's taking a little bit, as it often does, and that is providing lots of opportunity for the suspect to either look for a hiding spot or potentially even get out of this area altogether. So we'll be up here. We'll try and follow this and hopefully have an update for you. But right now it's a wait and see as they try and get more backup and potentially the SWAT team in the area.
And Chris, have you seen the couple that went into that original structure where we saw the suspect break into? Have you seen the couple, the man and woman step out?
Unfortunately, the last time we saw them, they were back in that guest house, which is where the suspect originally penetrated, either through the window or the back door there after dumping the vehicle, which was very odd to begin with. You know, it was one thing to dump the vehicle, but he literally just went up on the curb, crashed into the front gate, into the front yard of a random home, and then flew out of that vehicle, ran about a half a block in a matter of seconds into this area and came through the back of that property right there. And we just don't know whether he's still inside that building or whether he has already fled. So really, you know, lots of unknowns here and very limited personnel down there on the ground to search for him. So this neighborhood in due time will be under lockdown, and they will not let anybody leave here until they are confident that they have searched.
Okay, we're going to watch this plane on approach again at Van Nuys Airport as it seems to be coming in. We don't know if it's going to land this time around, the Cessna Citation. From what we understand, it's probably not landing yet.
Also, our producer telling us they're doing diagnostics on the plane, trying to determine what the next steps might be. And hopefully they have enough gas to be able to, you know, go around a few times a Passover.
I could see landing gear there. But
maybe they were able to get it down.
Were they able to get it down?
Yeah, it does look like it is down.
Oh, no, maybe that's an illusion. That's from the wing on the other side.
Yes.
It's the nose. The nose is not down, but they're coming low.
Down.
So we're going to watch this closely. It does look like it's going to make the attempt to touch down. Keep in mind, no nose landing gear. And look, it's dipping just a little bit. They're trying to keep the nose up.
And there it is.
And it seems to be touching slightly. There it is. There's the sparks. Yeah. So the nose is down. Yeah. It's sparking. They're trying to get the speed down as well, but it's going straight, which is a good move. That's a good sign. And keep in mind, emergency personnel, they're standing by. They're waiting for this plane to come in. They're going to be right there. If this does break out into a fire, they're going to be moving quickly. And it does come to a halt. So far, so good. There you see the reflection or the image of the pilot. He's moving quickly, trying to get to the door, and he's going to jump out.
Are those lights on the other side?
That's the emergency personnel coming in. They're moving in quickly. Okay. There's a fire truck. There's the pilot. Is he on the ground? I guess he already got on the ground.
Hard to see.
Yep. So I don't know how many people are on this plane. So far, we've only seen one person, but it seems like he had a safe landing, a good job there. We did see the nose touch down quickly.
And we're seeing more people come off the plane now.
Okay. Yeah, there's another person there. Yeah. Boy, that's
so scary for them, I'm sure.
A harrowing moment there with 2 people so far, but they seem very relieved. They're able to actually walk off that plane. and the nose did hit the ground, but it stayed straight, and so far, no fire.
Yeah, no fire, landing safely, and we assume there were only 2 people on there. One of them, the pilot, is that right, David?
Yeah, obviously the pilot is there, and then 1 passenger. Boy, that's going to be a stressful situation, but it was a nice, perfect landing. They kept the airplane straight, and so far, so good over at Van Nuys Airport.
Yeah.
And now our attention moves back again to Southgate.
Chris, are you still with us? Any movements?
Yeah, we're still seeing that Los Angeles County helicopter right over that same property where the light just went on there.
Now we're seeing
and
people
we'll
walking.
see if that was a resident or perhaps an officer. That's a resident. It's going back into that same back house.
And another person there.
And another person there. It's hard to say who's who here, I've got to be honest, but not sure if that person right there is the suspect or one of the other residents who ran back there when this all started. But in any event, we still see that night sun focused on this property. Whether somebody's trying to guide him in or what, we just don't know.
And this guy's waving at the chopper. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I mean, the other possibility we're not talking about here, possibility, slight perhaps, but maybe this guy lives here.
Yeah,
and this
that's
is
possible.
Family who are trying to intervene and mediate. I mean, we don't know. This is all speculation.
It did look like he was waving at somebody. It looked like he was waving at a chopper. There's a child.
Now there's a child there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the whole family's back there. Have a child back there. We saw another woman walk back there, and it looks like 2 men who are almost seeking shelter in that back house. But because obviously, if there was a suspect, they would know it already. You would imagine if the suspect was in that back house, which leads me to believe that most likely he was able to get away from that building, whether he's in the main house or already jumping into another property really is anybody's guess. But again, that's just me surmising from what we're seeing up here, as the family does not appear to be all that freaked out. Yeah, they're just kind of walking around their backyard.
Another thing that, yeah, sorry, again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but David mentioned earlier, it did appear that he slowed the car down, jumped out of the car, and let it crash into that corner.
Yeah, I think we need to evaluate that when we have the opportunity and maybe play that back, and we certainly will. I'm theorizing that maybe he jumped out of the passenger side. That's why we didn't see him while it was rolling, and that's why it just kind of rolled into the bushes.
Because
but he was already on the run.
Exactly.
That would make a lot of sense, and it would explain the slow roll into that front yard.
Yeah.
And that would explain how he got so far so quickly to begin with. In any event, there's now a police scene on that corner, which is one of the 4 corners of this block here, where the suspect is believed to be holed up. Again, we don't know that he's still here, but good reason to believe that he probably is not too far. In any event, you can see the LA County Sheriff's helicopter remains overhead, guiding units in here. There are more black and whites pulling into the area, and they will start to encroach on that property here as they have more personnel in place. I think we've got some video ready to roll back, and we can actually see where he actually jumped out from. Stand by. We'll go ahead and rack that.
Yeah, we're rolling it right now.
Go ahead and play it.
We see it, but it's, you know what, it's tough to see. And by the way, we only have a few seconds because we're going to quickly transition. In fact, let's do that. 2 breaking stories we're working on right now. One at Van Nuys Airport, one with this pursuit that is now in Southgate. We're going to be right back with more.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
We begin at 6 with the pursuit of a grand theft auto suspect in the Southgate, East LA area. Hello, I'm Ellen Leva.
And I'm David Noni. You're watching Eyewitness News at 6 live on ABC 7 Hulu and wherever you stream. The suspect has jumped out of the vehicle and right now is hiding out somewhere in this neighborhood. Let's get right to Chris Christie live in Air 7 HD. Chris?
That's right. The suspect dumped the vehicle and ran into this neighborhood here between Elizabeth and Virginia off of Liberty Boulevard, where there is now a perimeter set up where that suspect is believed to be hiding in that house right there in the center of your screen along the 8300 block of Virginia Avenue. Southgate police out here with neighboring jurisdictions helping out as well. You can see the LA County Sheriff's helicopter continuing those tight orbits around that home, and you can see the police scene now gathered where the suspect's stolen vehicle, Kia Sportage, crashed right into the front yard there, and you can see the police scene now established at Liberty and Elizabeth. He ran about a half a block very, very fast through this neighborhood, jumping fences, and eventually into a backyard where he is believed to be hiding out still. And there is a family back there as well trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, as we continue to piece this all together, we will continue to bring you the very latest.